It's great when everything goes according to plan. Unfortunately, that isn't always the case. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome. What do you do when a plan goes awry? I'm not a stranger to setbacks. There's been many setbacks throughout my life. When I was born, my mother didn't make it. She was having difficulty giving birth to me. That was a setback that she was going through. But thankfully, she did make it, and she was able to raise me up as best as she could. At the age of 8, I was hit by a car. At the age of 11, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, and most recently, I had a setback where I was part of a comic anthology with a friend, and it didn't work out too well. When I was 8, I wanted to go see my friend. My mom said, "Stay here. I'm gonna go to my friend's house." Her friend was the mother of my friend. Well, I want to go too. So I ran and ran behind the car. She passed by me. She didn't see me. So I just kept on running. And when I got there, I ran across the street and bam, a car hit me. Fortunately, the car wasn't going that fast because the person driving lived close enough that was he was so he was able to see me and get out of the car. I dragged myself from the street to the sidewalk, and from there, uh, someone called an ambulance. My mom came out. So that was a setback. That was something that happened. It was out of my control, or maybe it was in my control because I could have been looking both ways before I crossed the street. Um, I'm hoping this speech is reasonable or appropriate. So that was a setback, and that was something that I had learned to deal with. At first, I wasn't sure what what I was going to do. The doctors had said that something might happen later on, and when I was 11 years old, that's when I started to notice I was having shakes. If I would get nervous, I would get spasms. So that's something that I kept to myself because I didn't know what it was until I told my mom about it. And we went to the doctor and they said it's epilepsy. And they connected it to the car accident, which I'm not too sure, but that's what they came up with. That could have been a part of it. I think it was trauma and some other things, but I'm really not sure. I'm not a doctor. But that was another setback. That was learn to deal with having spasms and controlling them, and not having epilepsy attacks in front of people, being medicated, working through those different medications because they didn't always work the way they were supposed to. Those were huge setbacks that through adulthood I was still dealing with, and sometimes I do have a little bit of spasms. And if there's times where I slow down or I fidget with something, I am trying to control what's going on so I don't have one. That leads to more recent, where I was part of an anthology that both a friend of mine we wanted to do. We were excited to do this. We jumped in. I made mistakes. I didn't ask God. I didn't pray. I thought, well, this is something good. This is something I'm doing with a friend of mine. So what could go wrong? Well, we we both have different backgrounds. We both have different beliefs. When it comes to storytelling, we both do our own way. So there were disagreements. We didn't see eye to eye on everything. And there were some areas where I I tend to rely on my faith and my morals and my ethics. since I was a part leader in this anthology, I did have a rule that I didn't want foul language, and it was something that we were trying to work out. What is foul language? What is allowed? What isn't allowed? I have my moral compass, my beliefs, my ethics. So it was something that I didn't want to stray too far from when doing this story, and it's something we were having difficulty, and there were other setbacks, other disagreements. I came to the decision that it's best that I step back. Right now, our friendship is in flux. It might be on hiatus. We might be friends again. Uh, I have respect for my friend, so it's not something that's out of the picture. But at that moment, God was telling me, "This is not where I need you. This is not where I want you." Those were ways that I was able to deal with these setbacks. I I started praying. I started asking God. He gave me a very clear answer. With the epilepsy, I leaned more towards God, and he guided me where I needed to go. Another way that I deal with setbacks is I tend now to reach out to people and rely on friends instead of doing it on my own and thinking that I can do everything. First off, I'm asking God, and I ask, send me some people that can help me, can give me advice. And He has sent many people. One of them is a friend of mine, which I wrote a poem for her, and I'm going to read it. All the times we talk, never do you think to mock, never do you refuse to listen. At times I get a feeling of prison. Right when I'm ready for bed, albeit I rather talk to you instead. Underneath the great big sky, behold, you show up to say hi. And that's just one of the ways that I deal with setbacks. I pray, I ask God, I ask guidance, I lean to friends, family, and I look forward to the future to see what else is in store. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Now, Frank, your speech. Where's my sheet? Don't have on. Your plan, your setback. Wonderful. And your points. What did your setback do for you? What did your faith do for you? That's presentation. It'd be nice to be able to, and you have a good voice, but you might have a little different, change a little voice variety and try that. The other consideration I would do would be also a little more hand gesture, or even putting up your points in little cards. Again, the other suggestion was memorize or put on one sheet at home, because you do have a good closing, and that should be your closing. You do not have to do, Madam Toastmaster, when you close with a good closing and feedback.
Okay.
So I call that on General Evaluator.